Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 6 of the 2021-2022 Manufacturer Series exhibition season taking place at Lago Maggiore in reverse with the Group 3 cars. So I have the brake balance at +3 or 3 to the rear, and I'm on the racing soft tires. So let's go ahead and bring ourselves towards the left side of the track if you haven't done so yet. And you're going to look for the start of the thin gray curb that is on the left, as that is your first braking point. And you don't want to use all of your braking power, you're just trying to slow it down while still having the ability to turn. Then bring yourself towards the right, ease off of the throttle as you make the right turn, and brake before the curb on the right ends. Brake hard for a short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Do a little bit of throttle control, just trying to maintain your speed and the ability to turn. Then do a little lift off of throttle for this left turn. Do the same for this right turn. A little lift off of throttle. Bring us up towards the right and brake just as the gravel on the right starts. So brake hard for a short while. Slowly transition over from the braking to the throttle. And just try to be careful with your turn-in. Don't turn in too sharply so the car doesn't end up sliding around. Now, this third sector is where it's really important to nail down, especially if you're in a car that is good with the high-speed cornering. So you want to try to take these first set of turns at full throttle. You might need to do a little lift off of throttle if you need to. As the curb on the left starts to go away from you, that's when you start to ease on the brakes. Take advantage of the curbs as they are still within track limits. Be a little careful on the throttle and brake just before the curb on the right starts. You need to do a lot of braking and throttle control to try to get as much time out of this particular sector. Then brake before the curb on the left end. Lots of braking control through here. You can go a full braking force for a very short moment, but you still want to do a lot of braking control so you can still have the ability to turn in, and then slowly ease on the throttle as you make your way out. Then bring yourself towards the right, brake before you reach the 50-meter board, so just as the red area on the right is about to start. Brake hard for a short while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Do a little bit of throttle control as you make your way through this right turn, and then brake just as the curb on the left is about to end. So brake as much as you can for a short while. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, trying to bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn, and just be careful on the throttle through the final turns, and you're good to go. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. Yeah, the Z4 is definitely a meme car. But anyways, for the qualifying session, we'll have 5 minutes to try to get the best qualifying time possible, which means that you're going to get about 2 chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible. If you're in a lower rated lobby, qualify away from everyone else, especially because of the third sector. So the third sector is the one that has all the S's and a super long, awkward downhill left-hand turn. Yeah, in that part, you definitely want to be alone because people are going to take the third sector very differently. And again, I'll show you the third sector, which is where we're at right now. So the third sector, the cars handle through here very differently. People would take this sector very differently. So once again, if you're in a lower rated lobby, just qualify by yourself so you don't have to worry about someone holding you up through this section of the track, because a good chunk of your time is hanging out just in this third sector. If you're in a higher rated lobby, slipstream can be pretty useful, but it's a double-edged sword. Best case scenario, the car ahead of you knows how to take that third sector and you can just follow through with them and get a better lap time. Worst case scenario, they are not that good when it comes to the third sector, and you get too close to them and they hold you up and you lose all the time. But once again, 2 chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible, so you want to try to make those 2 laps count. But anyways, let's go on over to the race section of the guide. I do want to mention something about the start. If you're starting around 5th or 6th place and below, use traction control when you start the race because you have to navigate through the final corners of the track. So just have traction control at 1 to try to navigate safely through the last couple of turns. And then you can bring the traction control back to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. So I just want to point that out because with the Maggiore 2 starting layout for rolling starts, you may have to deal with the final set of turns. But anyways, we're doing 15 laps here at Lago Maggiore in reverse with the Group 3 cars. Fuel is a ×2, so fuel is not an issue at all, but tire wear is a big issue. It is a ×7. Your tires wear out pretty fast here. You have all 3 tire compounds, so you have the racing soft, medium, and hard tires available, and all 3 tire compounds are required for this race, so you do need to use the racing soft, medium, and hard tires for at least 1 lap, so you don't get a 1-minute penalty after the race ends. So here is the strategy chart. The way you want to approach this race will depend on where you're starting and what kind of car you're using. So with where you're starting, if you're starting in the very front, you can start on the racing soft tires to try to get away from everyone else. If you're starting closer to the middle of the pack, you can start on the racing medium or hard tires. And if you're starting in the middle or in the back, start on the racing hard tires to get the slower tire compounds out of the way. Do note that because of the tire wear situation and how fuel is not an issue, some people in the front may be a little cheeky and may start on the racing medium tires first to save the best tire compound for the final stint where their car will be at their lightest and they'll be able to go faster and they'll have better tire wear. So that's something that you want to be aware of because some people may be trying to pull that kind of sneaky on you. And how long the tires last will depend on the car that you're in. So let's say you happen to be in the BMW Z4 as well. The Z4 is pretty good on its tires, so the racing soft tires can last up to 6 laps. The racing medium tires can last up to 7 laps, and then you want to use the racing hard tires for as few laps as possible. So for example, with me, I can easily do 6 laps on the soft tires, 7 laps on the medium tires, and only 2 laps on the hard tires. However, if your car happens to be mediocre when it comes to the tire life or the tire wear, you may only be able to get 5 laps out of the racing soft tires and still try to go for 7 laps on the racing medium tires because you don't want to be on the racing hard tires for too long unless if your car is absolutely horrible when it comes to tire wear. I'm looking at you, Renault RS01. If your car happens to be absolutely horrible when it comes to tire wear, then you may be better off just splitting these stints evenly. So going 5 laps on the soft tires, 5 laps on the medium tires, and 5 laps on the hard tires. And of course, adjust the tire order depending on where you start. So you want to really take that into consideration because tire wear is a massive issue. And the last thing that you want to do is to be on a particular tire compound for too long to the point where your car just wants to lose control everywhere. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at where the pit stop is. It is hanging out just after the very last turn on the right side of the track. So after you go through the final turn, bring yourself all the way to the right side of the track and you'll be entering the pit stop. So we're only going in for a tire change. No need to refuel, and the pit loss for Lago Maggiore in reverse is 15 seconds. So the car should be popping into the pit stop right now. There we go. Tire change is actually kind of quick, and off we go. Also, be careful with the pit stop because it's at a pretty dangerous location, and I'll show what I mean in a moment. So this was from earlier last night when I was recording this. So this BMW decided not to pit in this lap, but I was already pitting and we're going to come out at a very awkward time. So there I am on the right side of the screen and this BMW is going to end up having to deal with me. So that's something that you want to be very careful of. There can be a very awkward situation if you pit out and the car behind you ends up meeting with you or vice versa. You just want to be aware that if there's a car that is coming out of the pit stops, you may need to slow down so you don't end up hitting them. But anyways, let's go on over to the pit stop one more time to switch over to the racing medium tires. In this race, I went 6 soft, 3 hard, and 6 medium, just because I was trying things out. This one was alright. I feel like I could be on the racing medium tires for a bit longer, which is why if your car is good on the tires, you can go 6 soft, 7 medium, and then do only 2 laps on the racing hard tires. And in the racing medium tires, I didn't find it too bad. In the first couple of laps, I was under a second per lap slower on the racing medium tires versus the hard tires, where I was 2 seconds per lap slower than my racing soft tires, which is again why you don't want to spend too much time on the racing hard tires. You're just unbelievably slow. Next lap on the racing medium tires, I was about 0.6 of a second slower than my racing soft stint. This is also because I used up a lot of fuel, so my car is even faster than what it was at the start of the race. So for this particular race, because tire wear is such a big issue, you want to try to make your racing soft and medium tires last as long as possible, so you're not on the slow racing hard tires for too long. But in the worst case scenario, tire wear is too much for your car, then you may be better off just doing something like 5 soft, 5 medium, 5 hard, just to try to stay on the track, because yeah, this track is pretty difficult, especially in the reverse direction, which is this one. This track is pretty difficult, really easy to make a mistake and end up in the grass. So just try to be careful in your race, drive carefully so you can make the tires last as long as possible. And at the end of this 15 lap race, my fastest lap time was a 156.2 in the Z4 obviously, and the total time was a 29 minutes and 55 seconds. So this is about a 30-minute race, a bit of a long one at a really difficult combination, really difficult circuit. But anyways, let's go on over to places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. The main straight, which is where we're exiting right now, is one potential spot to try to get the overtake done. You may be able to get more of your overtakes done through the pit strategy that you're using, because overtaking on the track is actually going to be a lot more difficult, even if the car that you're trying to pass is on a different tire compound or a worse tire compound than you, just because of how this track flows. Lots of single file line areas, so it's really hard to get a pass done. The Big Banky Boy, it is possible to go for a pass. You just need to get a really good exit out of the S's prior to the Big Banky Boy. This back straight, you want to try to get the pass done before you have to make the left turn, because once you go through this left turn, that's when it becomes a single file line once again. Yeah, you want to be in a single file line, because going too wide through here or battling it out will result in either you two losing a lot of time or an incident happening. And you can sort of say the same thing for the super awkward left downhill turn, which is probably my least favorite turn in this game. Here is the only penalty serving zone. This is also probably the best place to go for a move, just because this area is rather simple, really easy to get a pass done. Then after that, this part is a bit more situational. It is possible to go for a move through this hairpin. Once again, very situational. You may be able to get it done if you're on a faster tire compound versus the other car, and that is pretty much it. So you may have noticed that I am on a different wheel now. So a viewer sent in a Fanatec CSL Elite, and I've been trying it out. It's pretty fun to use, but it's very different compared to the Logitech G923, so I am going to need a bit of time to get adjusted to it, because as you can probably see, my lap times are rather all over the place. So I just want to put that out there. And I just want to give a thank you to that viewer for sending this bad boy in. And just want to thank you all for the support as well. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving, so for those that do celebrate Thanksgiving, have a happy, safe Thanksgiving. Don't stuff yourself up too much. Okay, we're all probably going to stuff ourselves up a lot for Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you all for the support. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. And also, I think the next manufacturer race is Big Willow, and I think, if I remember correctly, the Big Willow race is a tuning race, so make sure you have a tune ready for your Group 3 car. But anyways, that's all from me. This is Mr. MCA. Wish you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.